Triple yo. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Feedback and Friends. This is a little bit of a hot take this week. We are, let's just call it unplugged, unhinged, unhandleable. Lots of other things that begin with and are clickbaity. I don't know. The reality is Nathaniel is feeling the Christmas spirit today. And I'm feeling like the incognito, like I don't feel like doing myself up. So this is my first pro producer tip of the day, by the way. Like if you ever just don't even want to try and you want to stay in goblin mode, shutter shades, my friends. Shutter shades, right? And the thing is like real shades can get annoying because maybe you're inside and it's kind of dark. But shutter shades, it's like the best of both worlds. So coming at you live in all the shutter shades with totally wet hair, loose-ended, and with somehow my still friend, Nathaniel Wyvern. Welcome to Feedback and Friends. How you doing, Natty?
You say we're still friends. Is that because you have a ransom demand on me?
So today we're not sure if we're going to do another one before the year's end because the next one would fall on Christmas. So like 28th-ish. And so like you're all either going to be bored and dying to hang out with us or you're going to be busy. So we'll figure that out. But as for today, we're just going to keep it chill. We're going to play some stuff. We're going to give our usual feedback. And, you know, I really feel like communicating more with y'all. So anything that you can tell me that's a question or something weird, we can go into everything. We can hang out. We can do whatever you want today as usual. And, you know, if you want Nathaniel to just read a manual, if you ask him nicely, I bet he wouldn't even say no. So just saying. So what do we have up in the queue first? I don't even think we, is it Sunny Skies? Is that what's going on?
Sunny Skies, they said that because we shifted the time, they're actually not here right now. But I mean, I think, you know, that was kind of just a bit of a mix up in that regard, I guess. So it's not their fault. So yeah, Sunny Skies is next. They have a Liquid D&B song.
Oh.
It's very minimal right now, and I'm just kind of looking for ideas. I want to get some organic sounds in here. D&B with real cello, strings, and woodwind. See if I can get the link across to you there.
I got it. It's the first one, right?
Oh, you got it.
We are good. City
one.
of the Scorching Sun. Sunny, I'm really sorry for when you're watching this back. I just to tell people a little bit about what's going on. Like, I know I look just super chill in these shutter shades and sequins. So many S's, I can't even say it. But actually, I'm wearing like 5 hats.
Seashells on the seashore.
She sells shutter shades by the sequins. But yeah, I'm literally like, I feel like I'm an entire nuclear family right now. Like basically I'm like the 1950s husband, so I'm like on my hands and knees like regrouting my bathroom and patching drywall, and then I'm like the housewife. I'm like trying to use up all the food in my fridge and cook it, and then I'm like the rebellious teenager that just wants to make music way too late because I'm sort of reveling on the last few days in my studio. And then I'm also training for this entire new project that I'm taking on going forward. So I'm basically reading books, switching over to construction worker mode, switching over to housewife mode, then like going in for studio sessions and photo shoots. So like tomorrow, I'll try and stream this through here if we can, but right now Ill Gates is back in Denver again doing live streaming and production and stuff. And it just so happens that the studio is walking distance from my house, which is really weird in Denver. Denver is not one of those cities. So I'm probably going to walk over and have a session with him tomorrow. And then, get on my hands and knees and do some construction work on Friday and then have a photo shoot on Saturday. So hopefully I just don't have like drywall mud on my hair or something. Like this is. But anyways, thanks for those of you who are joining us late, because it's literally the cycle of life that I'm in right now. So without further ado, sunny skies, city of the scorching sun. Wow, some really, really beautiful strings. My gosh, yeah. I really, really enjoy the strings part of it. I think that's lush. It sounds wonderful. I'd love to know more about where you got those strings from. Did you program them in from samples? Did you sample loops? Like, vibe of that was really, really nice. So I think Sunny Sky is like, it's interesting. You're at a really cool point right now. Like I can tell, that you've been studying a lot about genres, which is super great thing to do when you're starting out, like just try and conquer and make absolutely everything. But now I think I've seen so many different like feels from you as being such a diverse artist. I think the thing for you to focus on is sort of what I would call like the next step. Like you're experienced enough now to make finished tracks, to have complete ideas and like decent arrangement. Now it's kind of about glue. Glue is like something that comes with time, right? It's the difference between having stuff that sounds like sort of just layers of really nice loops and having a cohesive track. And I think a lot of what I'm hearing is sort of that stage that you're at where you're like, okay, I have the idea, I've laid it out, I've put them all together, but somehow it's not like coming together as much. And that's kind of hard to put your finger on exactly where that might be because there's a lot of places. But one thing to start studying is parallel processing and group processing if you're not already doing more of that. Because doing things like, let's say, sending different elements of a drum kit all to one reverb and then maybe sending other instruments there can create a feeling of having your elements in the same room. These are sort of classic mixing techniques. Obviously, in EDM, you have to twist these rules a little bit because we're not always trying to create realism, right? Sometimes you're making a crazy alien spaceship reverb with impossible rules, and you're like, I don't care about being in the same room. What are you talking about, ill-esha? But the thing is, it's a metaphor, right? Having things in the same room, it doesn't mean you literally have to find a particular room-sized reverb and dial everything in. It means that it just has to feel like one continuous organism. So I would really play with like parallel bus compression. I would play with like really experimenting with sharing reverbs and sharing certain dynamic processing, and also just really going in there with EQ and remembering that you don't always have to just cut something statically. You can use dynamic EQ. You can automate it. You can do all kinds of things to dynamically move your track around to blend those layers and make one kind of just holistic organism. Do you know what I mean, Natty?
A lot of that can come in terms of the arrangement as well. It's not just the processing, but where you position everything and how you time them. It's something that I've noticed with this track. The piano, the strings are very beautiful, but the piano is not quite so beautiful right now. And I think part of that is because you're hitting very on beat all the time. It's very rigid divisions of that beat when you're in between, and there's no swing to it. There's very little feeling that it's actually an organic piano being played here. And a lot of that is in the breath. Like, a pianist will play into the... Like, you got a singer, they can only sing so many notes before they run out of breath. But a pianist will actually often play with their own breathing pattern as well. It's often what gives it a lot of that emotive quality. When, you know, you can have a fast piece, the pianist's heart rate will increase alongside the tempo of the piece because their whole body's kind of in sync to it. And their breaths will increase, breathing rate will increase as well. And then when you got a piece like this, which is, like, yes, it's drum and bass, but it's a liquid drum and bass. So, I could probably just turn myself up a bit. Other way.
I'm just used to you being, like, in my face. And today you're like, oh, yeah.
In my face.
Oh, okay, yeah, I think I can take off my supplementary gain from you now. You're going to do just fine. All right, good. I was missing that bassy, natty warmth. Keep going.
So yeah, it's drum and bass, liquid drum and bass is where I was. And the point is that your piano on top is still chill. So you want to have more spaces where it just echoes out a bit, where it just doesn't feel like it's rushing to get to the point. So that would be where I'd go next in terms of tidying up the arrangement. Dan Mack here saying, would love to hear a suspended, extended, ended note now and again. Also, I was really vibing though. And thank you for the compliment there. Yes, please. I really need to be shaving. I've been lazy. One more thing. This song gets a 4 out of 10 rating for me tonight because it isn't very Christmassy.
Oh, God. Okay.
There's no bells. There's no sense of snow and joy. It's just sort of cloudy, and
you have to tell them what you're doing. You can't just randomly do it. That's not cool, Natty.
Well, I'm not a cool person. Yeah.
You're a very cool
every
person.
Every song tonight will get rated out of 10 for how Christmassy they are. It's not a Christmas challenge, it's just for fun, because I thought it'd be interesting to see if anyone could score a 10 out of 10 when they're not intending to try.
I don't know why.
Is it possible? We'll find out.
We'll find out. All right. Oh, we got Yes Please up next. That makes me so excited. I know how much it takes for him to come forward and show us a gem from his vault. What's he got going on for us today?
Just a second. He was shooting for a disco-ish house vibe. Pretty rough, but the vibe is like 80% there, Imo.
All right. Let's do it.
Imo.
2, 3, let's get it. Had my eyes wide open, my heart closed shut. I didn't really cry, but I couldn't feel up. I spent my time breaking the pain of shut. I didn't really know if I'd ever find love. I spent my time dreaming about how I'm gonna run, but couldn't really leave. I love you way too much. I can't explain it, but I can feel something changing. And now that these tears aren't raining, the only thing left to say is everything's different with you. Yeah, everything's different with you. You got me losing my cool. Yeah, everything's different with you. 'Cause everything's different with you. Yeah, everything's different with you. You got me losing my cool. Yeah, everything's different with you.
Oh, it's
Been around the
vibes,
world,
man.
yeah, yeah.
Super vibes.
I
Cute.
can't find my baby, and I don't know, yes, I don't know why. I can't find my baby, been around the world, nah, yeah, yeah. I can't find my baby. You know me.
Oh, you are just the best. I love the vibes that you capture, like your songwriting. And I like that this is literally different than anything I've heard from you before, right, Natty? Like we usually get kind of like more classic R&B sort of style from Yes Please.
Yeah, that's a good way to compare. It's the synth work is really subtle in this one as well. I think that's something as well that's quite noticeable in like in a good way. Like you actually have to listen for it, but everything else feels really lush and organic. But there is still some, there's an piano in there. There's some interesting underlayers that are sort of like, well, they actually sort of remind me of bells. This actually scores pretty highly in my
On the
view on the
Christmassy-
Christmas scale. Not because of the bell thing is sort of like, yes, but actually thematically, I'm going to give this a high score on the Christmas scale, about a 7 or an 8, because it's like a Hallmark movie. That a bit, where they have the Christmas romance, and that this is like the big emotional moment. It's actually really, really good in that regard. It's so romantic, that whole thing.
All right. As long as you have this esoteric criteria, I think this is okay. It's like, could it be played in the background of a Christmas movie? That's legit. Yeah, I mean, I want to totally just first of all encourage you to keep like stylistically experimenting, but also don't be afraid to mix your own signature elements in, because I feel like a little bit like I can tell that you're less certain about this than you are about R&B. And I think you just need to like be confident, which I know you are the worst negative self-talker. You're worse than me and I'm pretty bad, but you need to just like trust yourself enough to be like, okay, I'm going to do disco and I'm going to attack it with like my signature thing. Because when you make R&B, I hear like a much more sort of upfront warm mixing style, and for some reason I don't know, it could just be that this is in a different stage of whip, but it seems a little bit like a lot of stuff is sort of oddly in the background where like I like the sort of retro organic vibe. I think it's appropriate, but you also have to sort of balance that out with the modern sort of like upfront take that you have, because I think that that's the power of doing modern disco or modern 80s or any kind of riff on a classic genre. It's like you can pay homage to it without just exactly replicating it, and if that makes sense, and like getting a little more futuristic and modern and experimental with some of the mixing choices that you make, because I want it to pump harder. I want it to kind of pump like a dance track but still sound like an organic disco track, and it's totally possible. I promise it is. I think just like maybe same thing I said about the last track. It's weird how things are in patterns, but I would say like play with some bus processing a little bit and smooth out those elements so that they're still organic, but they're occupying a more consistent presence in the field. And then the other thing that I would say is with your vocals, I love the line, I love the riff, but your vocals are kind of doing a very straight pattern, and all the percussion and all the synths are also like, I don't hear a lot of sort of like syncopation, which I think kind of needs to happen, because right now you're going like la 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 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8, and then the parts behind go bump 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 bump, and the drums are like dun because the drums are disco drums. Like I think what it is you're used to getting that syncopation and that swing from R&B drums. So probably, and I'm just saying this because I'm a pattern cracker. I like to look for like people's spots, when I'm teaching. It's like if you're used to that like swung or syncopated R&B percussion being that counterpoint, you probably have just like been accustomed to writing your melodies and programming your synths more straight to go against that. So what I would try is just be like, okay, remember that you have a pretty straight beat here. So you're going to have to take either slight bits of your melody or slight little arps or like anything, any portion or element of the song that can provide a little bit of counterbalance or swing or something. Because I just had a lot of trouble appreciating the cleanliness of your la 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 when like, you're right, Natty, like that's kind of why it was Christmassy, because it's just so like, we're 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and I want to have something fighting that straightness a little bit, that it's, Natty, am I like just ranting aimlessly, or did you hear that kind of like straight ahead groove as well in a way?
No, it's very, very straight, and you can do it in subtle ways. Like hats and rides, I find are a way I like adding a little bit of variety and swing to my tracks, because you can shove them as far forward or backward as you need them to be.
Yeah, what'd you think?
And I also agree with the punchiness. I think this is also a case of where you're going to have to go in and take references. Like you're looking maybe at new disco folks, Televisor, sometimes Pat Locke when he's not making house. That kind of high end, like really mid-label, mid-tier label, not mid. I know that's an insult there.
Mid.
That sort of semi-mainstream stuff where they're playing to the clubs, and so all the production is really slammed. Mm-hmm. You want to kind of edge in that direction a little bit.
Yeah, I agree.
It's a pain in the ass, though. Sonny was asking, do we know of any classes that cover parallel processing? I don't really learn.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not off the top of my head, but considering how many amazing tutorials, I would in general recommend either Mr. Bill or Ahi, Ahee. Those are like my two favorite tutorial people. And I know that Ahi has actually specifically done something on bus processing, and you have to take him with a grain of salt, because Ahi's like goal and target is always like banging EDM. So he's definitely like making stuff the loudest it can. So he talks about how Skrillex is using all these different compressors to like bust the kick and the snare and compress them and then bust the drums. But it's a good concept piece. So I would go to Ahi first, Ahee, and just look for like bus processing, parallel processing, or like, parallel compression. And then I'm not sure if Bill has done any stuff, but he's just such a really super gifted, and like if I were to say all time on the internet, somebody that I trust for both technical super skill and like dynamics and musicality for all genres, it would be Bill, 100%. So start with Ahi, work your way over to Bill. You're in good hands with that. But yeah, parallel processing, like I said, you're just in like stage 2 of being a producer. Stage 1 is like try everything, finger paint, and keep doing that. Like don't like limit yourself because you feel like you don't know something. Definitely do not do that. But now you're at the next stage, which is like group processing and glue. So probably a stark contrast up next from Yes Please. We have Hard Shifters.
This is going to be the most Christmassy song yet.
Yes, it's called Start the Attack. I can see the Hallmark credits rolling already. You know what we should do, Natty? What we should do is for every song, we should describe the scene that this song is sitting on the Christmas tree.
Why not?
All right. Is there any comments of specific feedback before we just start? No?
Nope.
Okay. All right.
Break me down, I'll stand up. Break my heart, I'll keep going on. Tear me down, I'll fight back. Break my heart, I'll start the attack. Tear me down.
So, if because the chat is not appearing on screen, I really apologize. I found out that Twitch has just done another upgrade, and so I have to update the plugin, which I will try and do if somebody gives me a long track. Y'all are like children, 2-minute tracks. Come on, I need 5 minutes so I can go like to the bathroom and go eat something. Like, where's all the long tracks? Like, no one has time anymore. But yeah, so my story, my Christmas story for that song is that Santa's sleigh has been derailed. Like the Grinch has T-boned him, and the only way the presents will get delivered is like the Fast and Furious guys have to like pull up and deliver. But there's a bomb on the North Pole, and if they go slower than 150k an hour, it's going to explode, and the whole world's presents will be destroyed. So this is basically the scene where like all these dudes are driving in their super fast cars, but they don't even know how to drift because there's like a sleigh full of massive presents behind them. So there's probably some comedy moments where like the present falls off, and yeah. Natty.
I had a different image in mind. Mine was Mrs. Claus having to effectively... You know, have you ever seen the movie The Raid, where they have to work their way up the tower to kill these criminal kingpins kind of thing? Now imagine that, but it's Mrs. Claus having to break into this tower to rescue Santa Claus because someone's kidnapped him.
Ooh.
And this is like her girl boss moment.
All right. I like this. In all seriousness, I gotta say, Hard Shifters is really good at getting me to enjoy genres of music that I don't like, or specifically this genre, because this is like the same feedback every time, and I'm sure at this point they're almost just like memeing because they know what I'm gonna say. But like, as a non-listener of hardstyle, there was like enough cinematic, enough theatrics in that, enough energy and like clean mixing for me to really enjoy that. So well done. You have yet again convinced me to listen to hardstyle.
I also really like just the melodicness of this one. There's a lot of pitch shifting of your kicks and like that weird donk thing that hardstyle likes using, to the point where it actually is almost drifting away from the genre in a good way, because it's not so rigid, atonal techno thing.
Yeah. No, that's what I mean. Like, it has some kind of like humanity and emotion and energy into it. Like, I can't even put my finger on it, because usually I just hear this kind of music and I'm like, go away. But I think the musicality and the mixing makes the biggest difference. Like, there's a theme to hold on to, even if like the drop, which is too much for you, which it is for my old lady years, that's for sure. but I mean, yeah.
Also, the vocal sample's good.
Right. Yeah, the vocal sample is good for sure. Any other feedback for our darling hard shifters?
I have to give a Christmas rating.
Oh, Christmas rating.
Well, given that your scene, I think that elevates it to a 9 out of 10, just for the legendary final, like, Fast and Furious X, The Grinch crossover that we never knew we needed.
Mm-hmm. Amazing.
Is that fair? Is that fair?
I mean, I guess it's only fair if I make up a Christmas story for everyone's, and then you're just like, this one gels with me and this one doesn't. But we can go with that for now. Next up, we have Rags. Well, we gotta have a good one for Rags. Rags is the homie for life. What is the feedback to set the scene for this Christmas story we're about to experience?
I can't sing well at all, but tried something regardless. Tell me the high notes and then roast me into oblivion, please, and thank you. Heart emoji.
All right. Let's start the Christmas story. Wait, no, almost. Start the Christmas story. Now start the Christmas story.
Travel so much they didn't get away. That was some more like anyway. Wanna turn my minutes to millions, a million thoughts a minute. A feeling can never think straight. So I'ma go to Cali. get my eyes right. Persistence though, yeah, I get it, but really who am I kidding? These minutes don't make a difference, been giving what I ain't getting. Searching for silver linings, trying to fall into purpose. Been running these damn circles and screaming until he's blue face. No face, switch the color, a new wave. New wave, I'ma need like a few days. Searching for silver linings, trying to fall into purpose. Been running these damn circles and screaming until he's blue face. So I'ma go to Cali. I wanna go to Cali. Sunshine on the strip to get my mind right. Moonlight on the shore to get my eyes right. I ain't got no time to waste, but I never have the time to taste. Travel so much, need to get away. Back with some more like anyway. Wanna turn my minutes to millions, a million thoughts a minute. A feeling can never think straight. So I'ma go to Cali. I wanna go to Cali. Sunshine on the strip to get my mind right. Moonlight on the shore to get my eyes right.
And I forgot to unmute myself. I knew that had to happen at least once. I was going to say, if that is not singing, I can't sing either. I mean, it sounds good to me. It sounds, I think you're too hard on yourself. I mean, first of all, have you seen the state of like 90% of the singing rappers? They're like Weekend at Bernie's, like propped up with like sunglasses on, like half cut from lean and saying like one word per minute that's auto-tuned. So like, first of all, the bar for singing is extremely low and you're well above that. Second of all, it sounded good. Definitely whatever, like, I did realize halfway through the song, I was wondering why everything sounded weird to me. And it was because my SonarWorks had my speaker calibration on, but I'm in my headphones. So I'm not going to give mixed feedback on that because everything has sounded weird until halfway through the song. But your voice sounds tight. I do think it is a little over compressed. I mean, I can tell just by looking at that sausage waveform there. And I also think that you got to really watch that because one of the things that makes a voice better always is dynamic range, right? When you overcompress a voice, which is like, you know, baby in with the bathwater or whatever part of this, you lose those little nuances, those breathiness, like those natural timbral variations. Like the reason I can't synthesize my voice really well is because they'd have to do a bazillion automations a second, right? So you lose those little nuances when you overcompress and you just get this flat in your face voice. So I think honestly, just back off on the compression a little bit and you will hear lots of little fun parts. Like you have a really nice tone and, you know, I don't know, too hard on yourself. Natty?
Which part of California?
Which part of California?
I want to go to Cali, but which bit?
Oh,
I think it's a pretty big state.
true.
And in terms of mix down, actually, this is one of your better ones. Usually you become very conservative with your gain on your vocals because partly from insecurity and generally just because nobody can ever judge it right. It's really hard. And actually, I think you were almost on point here. Maybe just a little smidge more, but nothing like compared to usual. You're actually very close in that regard. And I think it's just your drum processing in this one that could do a little bit of work. It's more in the stereo field. I mean, in terms of if you're just like treating it like a mono thing, then I guess it's all right. But you actually have a little bit more space than you're giving yourself with your upper percussive sounds, which will help your bass hit harder if you just spread your snare and your cats a little bit more. Otherwise, it's very, very close. And for not being able to sing, yeah, you're not trying to sound like some gospel singer or, a church choir boy here. But it fits the tone of the track, and that's more important than anything else.
Mm-hmm. I totally agree. Yeah. Rags, calm down. You're fine.
We love you.
We love you so, so, so
Also,
much.
Isha, what Christmas scene would this go with?
Oh, yeah. So this is the part where like actually I think this is the beginning, right? This is where the like disenfranchised like black sheep of the family dude is like, drinking his cranky coffee at like some hipster shop and puffing a vape, and he's just like, my life is meaningless. And that's when he decides to actually go home for Christmas and like just try to get some of the magic of his youth back again. So this is like that song that makes him want to go there, and he's like, yeah, I gotta go back to Cali. Maybe I'll find what I'm looking for. And of course,
Oh, that's a 10 out of 10 story. That you can't get more heartfelt Christmas than going home for the family.
yeah, it's true. Next up, we have Level. What's going on with Level? Is this a new person?
Yes, they are on go sit on the John on both the Twitch chat, and I saw them on Discord with the same username earlier. Go sit on the John. I mean, we had to go to toilet jokes pretty fast, I suppose.
Wait, are they making a toilet joke? Are they telling us to go?
That's their name. Go.
Oh,
Well, that's a good question, isn't it?
I
Yes, it's an instruction. Is their name in?
go. Oh, like that they want.
I
us
guess
to listen.
I'm gonna go.
All right. Let's just all pretend that we're having a private moment. I think that was the polite wave. All right, so this is like a 4-minute long track. I like the palette that you're using. I like this kind of like lo-fi. I don't know if I would be like sitting on the John while I listen to this, so I don't know if that's what you were telling us to do or telling us that that's how you produced it. I would say this one is like a scene from an 8-bit Christmas horror movie where basically like it's all Minecraft style animation, but like this is where they've discovered that Santa is actually manufacturing some kind of thing that will turn all kids into elf zombies. And we're just going into this 8-bit layer where we can see this evil plan manifesting. That, more syncopation. Same thing I just said 2 songs ago. This is like na 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 na. And basically, here's the test. Is everything that you're doing on the grid or 2 times the grid or 4 times the grid or 8 times the grid without like anything going in between or anything swinging? Like even techno, which is the most rigid, uptight genre I can think of, they tend to have a lot of off syncopation just because it needs something, right? Not everything can just be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So take your cool palette, take your cool concept, and just shake it up. Like have some percussion that's a little syncopated. Have a melodic riff where like a couple of the notes are not falling exactly on the grid. Because if I spoke like this, it would be weird, wouldn't it? So you need to have a little bit of deviance so that it's not so robotic. Do you know what I mean, Nathaniel?
Yes. I now that you've got me on the whole really on grid thing, now all I can think of is the Carol of the Bells. The lyrics for that song are which is another good example of how you do hear patterns sometimes like that in music where it's super like a machine gun, just a constant rate of something. And it can work, but only when it's coming from one element at a time. If you have an element doing it, something else has to be doing something else, and like shaking up the formula in a way that creates a response.
By the way,
like
everyone,
the reason the Carol of the Bells.
Twitch chat is working. Say obscene things to Natty, but in a PG way. Go ahead. Keep going, Natty.
The reason that things like Carol of the Bells works is because it's designed to be sung by multiple people. It's relying on people, like when you got a series of singers together, then they're all going to sing precisely on time. It's using their natural variation to create the offbeatness and as the build-up goes on. And you can kind of emulate that in sound design too by parallel processing, creating 2 versions of the same sound, having it so one's maybe got a little bit of a flanger or a chorus on it or something along those lines. You can actually bend outside of the exact on-beat element in a dynamic way because you can automate all those and create curves and things all over the place.
Natty.
And that can kind of take the edge off, I suppose. And
you just analog froze. You just like froze in person. That was amazing.
There's a good reason for that.
I don't know.
I'm trying to avoid saying the cursed phrase.
I don't know if anyone else saw that, but that was an analog freeze if I ever saw that.
Have you noticed that I've managed to avoid saying the cursed phrase all stream so far?
You are doing so great. So awesome. Rags is posing a question. If Flanger was a person, what would their face look like? Oh my gosh. Well, it would.
I could keep. Oh no! This is a dreaded
I'm pretty sure
question.
they would have really sort of soft, muddy features, and maybe like some interesting textures. I think it would be like an old man who's been drinking his whole life and has that like big bloated rosy nose with like all the rosy patches. That's kind of like a personified Flanger. I think
His hair would need to be wavy too, like a really obvious wave to the side, like some sort of comb over thing, but wavy. I don't know.
So, any other feedback for Level? I'm gonna be honest, this wasn't particularly Christmassy, but it was good.
Yeah, it's definitely harder creating an image for this one.
Yeah, no,
That's Christmassy, but so we'll give it 3 or a 4 on the Christmas scale.
On the Christmas.
Just because it reminded me of Carol the Bells.
And it's super fair because we totally told absolutely nobody. You didn't even tell me you were doing this until we started. So that's cool.
Surprise!
We got Flav in the house. What's going on, Flav?
They're looking for overall opinion,
Whoa.
mixing, and sound choosing.
Okay, we will give our opinions. Is that like a Michelin star meat course? I'll have the opia mignon. So good. I don't know if you just caught how Natty and I were like both dancing and I just had a blast there. That was super classic and clean with a really, really good hook. And I would sum up that almost being like the power of fifths. Like there's so many good like fifths going on in there. And that's like a classic house thing, If you ever want to make a really classic house tune, you just have to make an organ with a fifth, and use that as your bass. And you have that just super feel good warmth. Really, really like the mix down. And Rags has come up with a storyline. A hobo.
Can I read it out?
Oh, okay, fine. You can.
Oh, you read it out.
No,
you read
you
it out.
no, you got the
start.
voice. Okay, I'll do one, and we'll alternate. A hobo is standing outside of a pawn shop, dreaming of the possibility of buying the Nintendo 64 in the window. A passerby gives him a $100 bill. He then, with his tears in his eyes, looks into the cloud and exclaims, "Ooh, baby."
Oh my God, Rags! Why?
I love it. I love it. So yeah, I mean, I honestly like. I would have appreciated one weird element somewhere because everything was in the perfect place. Everything was so right. Everything was so great. I almost just want like a strange organic sample or a rough texture or something. And this is just like personal opinion because I think it's all so kind of like perfect and clean that it could do with just a couple of little edges to it. But I mean, this is just minutia because it's quite a solid dance floor track. And Nathaniel, as somebody who has not technically been on a dance floor, it made you dance, right? So it did something right.
Yeah, it's fun, energetic. I think people would also do like exercise in the gym to this sort of track. You know, this often shows up on gym workout playlists because it gets the blood pumping. That kind of CrossFit. You know, everyone's whatever. Official Rag saying, Vox is cool, but I wish I knew what I was saying. I'm going to counter and say, I wish I knew less of what it was saying. And I'm going to explain what I mean by that. I would love to hear these vocals mixed in with something that resembles a saxophone. Because it's so close in tonality to that already, that it actually might be better just mushing it into another sound. And because the meaning of the words don't matter so much, and you also repeat it a few times. And this would be an easy way of adding a little bit of variety to it because you just automate that underlying synth that gives it the body because it's a very hollow vocal sample right now. I think because it's been resampled from somewhere else. And so this would give it some beef back into the middle of it, but also provide you with an opportunity to just add that extra little bit of variety, maybe even the grit that you were looking for, just that slight edge could come from some underlying synth that's glued to the vocal and just sort of mushes it up a little bit more.
Yeah, totally. Just something to grab onto that's not so harmonious and perfect, right? So, Rags is killing you. Clearly, words don't matter that much with the way you read the word opinion earlier. Damn! Ice cold. All right. I'm going to sit here from behind my Christmas visuals. I hope you all appreciate that I'm just creating the most Christmassy thing I possibly can, which is a cactus floating on a green red horizon.
Oh, we should totally beg Volta for a Christmas pack.
Oh, yeah.
They've got a couple of days.
Well, I mean, the cool thing about Volta, though, is that you can kind of just put any texture you want. So if I just find some good Christmas images, like I need like an up-close, really uncomfortable Santa face as the background, and then we'll go from there. All right, we got a newbie, a newbie to me, Rusty West. Who's Rusty West? It sounds a little bit like an Urban Dictionary term, but...
apparently that's not their actual artist name. They
Okay.
said they don't have one, so I guess it's just whatever for them. They're also known as R Rocket 02, so Rusty West Rocket. I don't know how much drill trap you guys have on the channel, but let me know what you think. Big smiley face.
Yeah, a Rusty West drill beat sounds like the next Urban Dictionary thing that doesn't really exist and no one says, but someone has entered in the dictionary anyways. So, Christmas story incoming, Rusty. Thanks for being with us. We love you. This one is super vibes. This is like the the BET Christmas movie with like the sexy slow love scene from like the guy in the hometown. So like this one is centered around a girl who's back in her, cheap like small town New York hometown, and the new postmaster is like this dude, and every time she walks into the post office, this song starts playing, and they kind of look at each other, and he's got like the Christmas twinkle in his eye, but she doesn't know what to say.
She doesn't want to know because she's got a Prada.
I definitely, as is usually with this genre, I actually crave a really dope rap on it, just like Rags is sort of hearing, and UK flow, like for sure, like not just some typical American rap, but like grime, like UK style, or even like a little like sing song hook. It's got really really nice melodic flow to it. So, what do you think, Natty? What's your Christmas vibe?
The Christmas vibe. If we're gonna rate it Christmassy, right now, even the scene you described, it's sort of more of a Thanksgiving. They've gone home early kind of thing. I feel like it's a little bit earlier in the year. It's we'll say a 2 or 3 out of 10 for the Christmas vibe. But in terms of the drill vibe, I think the question then becomes, what would you rap about or have someone rap about on it? Because in a drill as well, it's got a heavy association with violence in its lyrical content. That's not even just a stereotype, that's actually the thing in the genre, compared to say grime or conventional hip-hop or Atlanta trap or these other things, where you're more likely to find people writing love songs or songs about how they didn't brush their teeth that morning. Drill is actually got a lot of association with just describing violent acts.
Yeah, that's true.
So the question is whether you stick it with it or not, or actually try and do your own thing with it. How I think on the beat side, your 808s are probably a little bit regular. There's maybe play about with some of that pitch shifting, get a bit more extreme with it if you want it to really stand out. But otherwise, if you're going to leave it more straight, your beat is going to live and die by the vocal and its content.
Dude, YZE1 is killing it on the Christmas freestyle right now. Man be kicking with Santa. All the haters want banner. I just give them that slander. Sugar stay dripping like I'm sipping on Fanta. I should have made you read that, Nathaniel.
You're better at it.
But that's exactly why. No, Rusty, this is dope. I hope you come back. I really enjoyed that beat. That's something I would have played myself. So, we got Dan Mac in the house. All the Christmas friends.
Yeah.
Dan, you're like my personal Santa. You just make me feel like I'm receiving gifts every time I talk to you. Seriously, love you, Dan.
Well, apparently this is a Christmas themed song.
No. We actually.
I made this track, maybe 18 years ago. Now, wow, maybe a little older. I've learned a lot since then.
Okay,
it's the only Xmas song I have. Well overdue a remake.
Let's check this out. And yeah, I've now made some epic, scary Santa Christmas visuals to enjoy. So let's do it. All right, this is amazing. I am loving these moments. And actually, like, this is the best Christmas song I've ever heard. If all Christmas music that played like in stores and in everything was like this, oh my god, that's amazing. Thank you. Thank you for this, Dad. I mean, in all seriousness, you got like a lot of stuff going on, but it's very pleasing. Like nothing is resonant in an annoying way. Nothing is sticking out, and my sub pack is kind of like this bubbling Christmassy bass rumble. So, as others said, I think the visuals explain the story pretty well. But happy to hear your opinion on this one.
So I like that Bing Bong McGee is the only one who produced a PG-13 story. What I think this paints an image of Santa's elves are tripping and making some silly toys.
Is that PG?
Meanwhile, everyone else is. Really? You had to go there?
Yes. Oh, nice.
You dirty person.
Oh, wow. All right.
Still.
So yeah, if you're on the Discord, you can just DM me the next image, and I think what we're gonna do for the rest of the stream is just like change up who's hanging out in that surface. So let's do it. Send me some funny things. I just got a really good
Daniel
one.
McPhee was saying they wanted to remake this one maybe at some point.
Why not?
I think it might be worth challenging yourself. Combining that radio thing that you've modded with modular and trying to do this like a 1 or 2 patch thing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what is a tenorian. I've never heard of that. I must be a ignorant fool.
I don't know. A tenorian?
A tenorian dash. That's what it says in the chat.
Weird.
Not
weird flex, but okay. A tenorion. Yeah, I actually don't know what that is either. Dan, tell us what that is. Tenorion? I don't know. Cool. I think you should redo it. I think you should tell us more about what a tenorion is, because we are clearly just plebes. We don't know anything. And we like knowing about cool tech. And we see, did anyone, I want to pose a question to everybody. Did anyone get any cool plugins for the Black Friday yearly producer spend-a-thon? I got Supermodal, but it was kind of like, I got it a couple weeks before, but that's my newest plugin. I'm super enjoying that. Maybe we can go through it for plugin of the week. In the meantime, thank you to Rags for this new image on the visuals, just in case anybody wants to... Yeah, all right. Glorious. You don't recognize? All right, I'll let the chat tell you who that is, but okay, so who's next? I'm getting distracted. Oh no, you didn't message me.
Yeah,
anything. You got distracted.
That's because I was too busy laughing. I'm sorry.
So
we got Bing Bo next.
Oh, nice. Bing Bong is saying that they got RC20. RC20, that is a classic. That is essential. It's really good for texturizing your ear candy. Sorry, I just wanted to press the button. Honestly, there's no excuse for that. What does Bing Bo want from us today?
I want to add more layers, especially to the first section with the drum. Feedback like how to incorporate new layers or current layers better would be appreciated.
Layering.
I will also make this a minute or two longer when I finalize this experiment.
Okay, well, perfect. We seem to have a theme every week, and so I think this week it is about layering or glue. So let's listen and see if we have suggestions, and of course, all of you are, as always, welcome to give your own feedback on how that can be achieved. Wow. That was super, super abrupt. I was actually going to just leave the visuals on because Nathaniel has had to restart or something like that. But, woo. Okay, so
Maybe.
there you are. You back, Natty? You all right? I don't hear anything, but I'll just go first. So layers. I mean, I think that you've got a lot of. And well, anyways, while Nathaniel's gone, we can look at Danny Trejo's beautiful eye, just revolving, just so classic, so lovely. There you are. I think.
Sorry, my internet decided to just randomly die.
I think that maybe what's making it hard for you, like you've got a lot of interesting processing going on, like some cool distortion on your drums and like some other cool effects on your melodies. But I think there's so many different ones that you're almost like accentuating how different they are from each other. Like you're making it a little bit worse. And I hesitate to say worse because I like what you're doing. I don't think you should not do these cool effects. You just have to find some commonalities between them or some layers you can pull together. So maybe like if you're going to have, I think with your drums, I like that lo-fi distorted thing, but I think there needs to be a slight clean layer mixed in. And if you did that, that might balance it and blend it a little bit more with some of your melodic synths. So my suggestion is just to kind of go back and look at your different elements of the track. What extreme effects are you doing? And how can you sort of correlate them, you know, even if it's just an echo, even if maybe you just put a little bit of dirtiness and distortion on the arps so that it's more similar to the drums instead of being from two totally different universes. Because as I said earlier, metaphorically you want to put things in the same room, and you don't have to do that with literal reverb space, but you have to find some way to do it. What are some of your glue tips, Natty?
It's a good question. I mean, oh no, I said it. Ah, my composure's been broken.
Hey, you've been doing really well. It's okay.
Yeah, I know, but glue. And a lot of it's to do with octave balancing a lot of the time for me when I'm writing, especially when I'm writing more ambient pieces like this. You don't want to compress everything up to the hilt because that kind of ruins the whole point of it being ambient and low key. So what you want is to have more, like the moments where you really need emphasis, you need to have elements cross over into each other's space more. So that it's actually stacking them, and then when you want them to actually avoid each other, then you obviously have to move up and down your octaves a bit more to deal with it. It's really hard when you got sort of more sequencer style ambient like this, because it's what it really is. It's like you've just got a set of loops that you keep building on and building on, building on. Because it's that in itself is a constant source of tension, and then it's just how do you release that tension without relying on a melodic device. So it's not just about continuously stacking. You also have to choose which elements to then strip back to remove some of that tension again and allow you to build up naturally.
True. Yeah. Super true.
And it's like that can make it harder when you're constantly trying to just add things on top of each other. It becomes harder to actually stick them all together. And by going back to the, not straight back to nothing, but just choosing an element to remove gives you a chance to add something else. And then alternate between them. And it'll make it easier just sort of time it and actually avoid mud, because that's the other thing as well. Mud takes away from the feeling of glue because then it feels like you're drowning in the sound, not actually balancing it.
True. Yeah, I mean, EQing is always the most important thing to get things to go together. So I would definitely roll back and look at that and see kind of what's going on. Any other advice for our friend?
I think figure out exactly what your purpose for the track is. If it's part of an EP, you'll want it to lead into something else. You need to have a natural coming off point before you start the next piece. If it's a singular entry of its own right, then I'd go quick and dirty right now and just lay out an entire skeleton for the track. Figure out where it's meant to end so that you don't miss the end and keep going for no reason. But I say it's just practice, which is fair enough as well. And it's okay to experiment and just chuck something there with no feeling of finishing it.
Yeah,
That's cool too.
you can't get it really around that. Nice vibes though. Thanks for joining us. Next up, we got Error Code, and what is up with Error Code today?
Beep, apparently. Um, Looking to collab on the track. I'm stuck on what else to do with it.
All right, how's it going, Error Code? Excited?
How are we ever to prove that there are universes other than our own? We know.
Guy, what just happened? I just like lost my mind.
We listened to 5 different songs in one song.
Yeah, that was kind of like a medley. That or a demo track for a sample pack, you know? That was check out what new Pro Step VST can accomplish with you. Like, and the person listens to that and they're like, by the way, in a compliment, they would buy it because it is super well engineered. It sounds really, really clean. It's like edgy without being painful, but it has no goal and it has no structure. Like the intro sounds so realized, and I feel like I'm building to something. And then when it drops, I'm like, what's happening? Which song is this? Is this a choose your own adventure? Am I supposed to open a door handle? Because standing in the hallway is making me a little queasy. So I think what you have to do next is make a choice, and it's okay if you make that choice and later go back and make a different choice. I think sometimes we get so stuck on like, okay, I better make up my mind in the moment, this is it, like as if we don't have undos in previous versions and whatever. But sometimes, and I do this all the time because I have too many ideas, sometimes what I do if I'm like not ready to let it go is I just like drag it way later. Whoa, so later I just knocked my mic everywhere. Way later on the timeline so that I have this like little corner with the old idea and I'm not like letting go of it yet. It's there, but then I just give one of the other ideas a chance and just flesh it out and develop it a little more. I think, you have the potential to either have like a commercial EDM hit or a really cool, abstract, weird, glitchy, like deep thing, but you have to decide which one it is and pick not necessarily one thing, but like 2 things, Like, Natty, what Christmas story happened in your head?
The house burned down, and the volcano erupted, and Christmas was saved by a lot of rabbits who came over from Easter. And then everyone started singing and dancing at the end because I don't know, like they're all on drugs or something.
For me, this is the sequel to Don't Look Up. Like after the ending, when the apocalypse has scorched the earth and there's just like Jonah Hill like trying to post to social media alone on a rock. I think like this picks up where that left off, and like Jonah is like sitting wearing a little Santa hat all by himself on this like burning rock of fire and singing that this is a Christmas song. Yeah. So
they were asking for. They said in the chat that they actually are building a sample pack and originally started this as a demo for it.
Well, no, that's a super great demo track. I would totally buy that pack. Like 10 out of 10 for you, my friend, for making that. But you can even do like you can be artsy about it, and you can make something like part 1 and 2. Artists do that all the time. Like it doesn't even have to be a remix. It can just be another version, and you can make like a little single EP of yourself with like 3 songs on it. That's what I would do.
I would go the EP route for sure, for personally. Just because you have good ideas, and each of them needs to have its space to actually be appreciated. A lot of, like, the start of the song started, like, the demo track, sounded almost dark synthy, and then he moved into a sort of a funk direction with all the tranciness, and then it was sort of a hard dubstep-y kind of vibe. And all three of those are really cool genres, but it's very rare that you'll find someone try to actually intersect those genres in one space in this short a time, because it's really hard to actually manage people's expectations that way. You'll get a Perturbator fan or whatever listening to the start of this and going, oh, I dig this, and then it turns to the funk and they're like, what?
Yeah.
You'll piss a lot of synthwave people off immediately that way.
I mean, go ahead, piss people off, but just like there was more than synthwave and funk. There was also like bro and rhythm, and I don't know. There was probably at least 18 micro genres in there that I don't even know about yet. So
Probably 20 of them named by Spotify.
yes, exactly. Thank you for that. Next up, we have Kyria Flurry. Nice. What's up with them?
Anything really, my next real attempt at making something.
Okay.
Also, their artist is now Gremlin Cake, apparently, which is cute.
Artist name, you mean?
Gremlin Cake.
Gremlin Cake. Okay, let me type that in. Gremlin Cake. And we have, I already know what this Christmas story is going to be. All right, so positive vibes. We're all here with love, right? But I have to agree with. I'm sorry, I don't even know how to say it. Is it Yeez One, Wise One, Wise One?
I mean, it's please
correct.
release.
Oh, Yes One has this 2013. Wise One. I was right. 2013 YouTube melodic dubstep tutorial. Honestly, he is kind of right, and I think it's just to put that into more elegant words. It needs to evolve a little bit. Like you have the basis of an idea, right? You have a melodic motif and you have the rough outline of the instruments, but it sounds like You need to kind of play with effects on all of them to give them some texture. You need to mess with your melody so it has a little bit more syncopation. Because right now it kind of just sounds like you're hitting a few keys and sort of moving that pattern up and down. Da-na-na-na-na-na, 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 right? And this is, I've been saying this all day. It's the theme of today. Rigid music that doesn't go in between the grid at all, right? And even this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So when you have like 18 elements that are all going da 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 da, it kind of loses focus with the track. Like it just makes your whole body go, okay, I get it. You got like a bunch of things doing one thing. A good track has balance, right? It has a little bit of tension. It has edge. It has feel. And right now everything is kind of just sitting in the same place, kind of on top of each other. As far as Christmassy goes, I would give this one of the highest scores yet. Those bells are very, very Christmassy.
Christmassy AF.
Mm-hmm. I feel like at this point, it's like one of those. Is it A Christmas Story? The one where the kid like gets shot and like that thing that everyone watches every year. I feel like this is a scene where
I've never seen that movie in my life.
Oh, it's a classic. Anyways, this is like the scene where like some awkward kid is like writing a letter to Santa and just like daydreaming about like actually being popular and having some girl like him. And he's like, "Dear Santa, I would really, really love if Madison would just look at me just once, Santa, please. Gosh, I've been a good boy." Natty.
And Santa's like, "No, you've been a terrible person because all you do is sit in your room all day. You get nothing done. Bad." I think for me, my advice from here, do not just say you have to have the melodic dubstep basic drum pattern. I feel like you decided you were making melodic dubstep and the rest of your idea hasn't actually followed that to the point where you now need to go through and start experimenting with different drum aesthetics, different drum progressions, patterns. Sometimes you can go into a project with expectations of what you want to make, but your subconscious has other ideas. And this happens to me all the freaking time. It's like, you now need to just let the expectations go and say, okay, it isn't quite working the way it is. What other patterns could work? And just actually, just try stuff. And then once you've got those general relationship between your drums and everything else right, you can then go back to everything else and improve those accordingly.
Totally. Absolutely. We have a chill day today, by the way, kind of on purpose. There's a lot of stuff going on and I have to definitely dip out at 4, but I just wanted to say that if there's anyone new in here who has not already submitted today, we are about to just close off with a bunch of second entries. So if you happen to be around and you have not submitted a track today, you can get it in right now. Otherwise, we're going to play a couple more second pieces from people. I think Rusty West, our favorite non-existent Urban Dictionary entry, is coming up next. Is there different feedback for this track? It's really nice to have some new
Not
faces.
drill this time, but trying to get better at flipping samples. Let me know what you think.
All right. Flipping samples. Love it. Shouts out, Rusty.
You are watching a master at work.
terror just grows now that I've discovered how to make this flash between all these horrendous
You
images.
are watching a master at work.
It's great.
Oh, Volta. Another dope beat. Really, really love your subs, man. This is like very, very pleasing to listen to on a sub pack. You really have mastered that angular kind of edgy thing where like I feel like all the side chaining, all the in and out, all the envelopes are super contributing. Like as far as glue goes, I think this is actually a really good example because there's not a ton going on in this track that you can hear, right? There's just like this main sample and bass and drums, but it's a very, like, you don't think of it as separate elements at all. At least I don't. I don't feel that. And I think it has to do with the enveloping, which I think is such an important thing that people neglect. Like, really think about how your sound comes in and comes out. And if there's another sound that's up against it, see how you can make the edges fit together. You know, and putting on all my 18 hats this last week, I'm like fixing trim and edges of floors, and like I have to make the edge of the floor look nice against the edge of the next one. And if I just stick them together, there's always like gaps and it looks bad. Whereas if I find something to bridge the transition between those, it's better. So I mean, whether you're trying to sell your house like me or whether you're making a track, you need to pay attention to the way that sounds not only come in and leave themselves, but what relationship they have to other sounds coming and leaving, because that is an envelope within itself. The exit of the previous sound and the entrance of the next, that's a shape, right? Neck. All right.
Neck.
Yes. Natty, you know what I mean?
Yes, I think that this is actually a very good example of conscious sound design. It's where you've gone in. You mean they're saying this as an example of them like improving their sample flipping. You can tell they've gone, this sound is doing this thing. I need another sound in this other space to fill that gap, and so on and so on and so forth. Very intentional. Also, I don't know about you, but it makes me feel like it's some sort of creepy nursery rhyme killer thing.
Oh yeah.
To the point where my Christmas imagery here is an SNL sketch where it's Santa and the elves, and they're all getting blazed. And Santa's going on about, oh, I love you guys.
And
ho, ho, ho.
And the world is kind of just melting around them. I was
Yes,
actually,
exactly.
when you said kind of creepy, I was thinking like some kind of like tinkly snow globe music box playing in the background, and like Santa has decided to take his position to enter the chimneys of everyone's house and just use it to kidnap kids. So I feel like Santa's coming in and there's a close-up shot of like the wonky music box, like, and then Santa's like, ha ha. And this is when he gets the face that's going on in the visuals, starring Danny Trejo as Santa.
Do you think in some households Santa has to somehow appear out of a bong instead of a chimney?
Yes, they get a vision. They see him in the reflection of Oh my God. I'm super stoked because we have another surprise Christmas entry from Stasis Stigma. Man, I wish I had that elegant mask today because, you know, all I had are shutter shades. But I got to say, I think this is the longest I've actually kept a pair of shutter shades on. And it's quite comfortable, like more comfortable than you think. I think it's cool. All right, Stasis.
Christmas in space is a weird place to be, 'cause they don't celebrate on planet 9003. I just wanna go, I just wanna be sipping on eggnog under my Christmas tree. But for Stasis and I, we'll watch as the stars in the sky light up on this Christmas Eve. I could be home home for just one night. Cause Rudolph can't handle space flight. I just want some snow, a present just for me. Counting all the lights up on my Christmas tree. But for Stasis and I, we'll watch as the stars in the sky light up on this Christmas Eve.
Oh my God, I just got to say, I hit the lighter button right when he said light up. That was some synchronicity. 10 out of 10 on the Christmas vibes. I got to say, Stasis is going to walk away with the crown. This is like the moment in the Christmas movie, like it's a teen one for sure, right? And this is after like, it's the two kids they're both at boarding schools on like opposite sides of the world, and they're visiting their families for Christmas in their like gigantic mansions, and they see each other over the property line, and but the families don't like each other, and the Christmas miracle is that they're going to be reunited through the love of these two kids, sort of like Romeo and Juliet, but without the death and with a happy ending type of thing. You know what I mean? So this is like the scene where the boy just realizes, wow, like I really like this girl, and it's not going to happen. And he's just kind of angsting, just looking into the distance, and this song is playing. Right, Natty?
Yes, that is exactly it. Also, this is the most early I think Elle's ever written a Christmas song for next year, because obviously I don't think anyone could finish, like, it's not finished in terms of production, and I'd be surprised if you get anything released at this time of year. So it's definitely for next year. There's no way about, like, so this is the earliest year in advance Christmas song.
Everyone knows you got to put out the Christmas song in November, so Spotify Wrapped includes it. Come on, amateurs.
There was something funny I saw about a TV show, Doctor Who. The guy who used to show when it came back, and he said this is the first Christmas where he's actually writing a Christmas special at Christmas, because usually whenever it comes to Christmas content, they're not producing it in December. They're producing it like last July, August.
Mm-hmm.
And they're all, that's why all of it's fake snow and just sly camera angles to avoid the fact that outside it's actually sunny as shit. And so that's this song is cute. Also, the idea that Rudolph can't fly in space. There'll be a lot of disappointed kids when we could get colonies on Mars, because Santa won't get to them.
He's asking what we think of the vocal processing. I mean, I like it. I think that kind of like very like upfront, direct sort of style works well for this kind of emo style. But I also think that the clarity is important, because, the lyrics, it's a Christmas song. It has a specific theme. You kind of want to get it into like people's heads, so they kind of need to know what you're saying. So I think that it's appropriate, and it fits with like the clean mixing on the rest of the song. What about you, Natty?
Yeah, on the whole, I think it'd be good. If you want to really amp up the Christmassy stuff, though, you're going to need some choiry, chorusy aspects to it, I think. You need some other singers backing you up a bit. Just in the end of occasional lines, mainly during the chorus. That musical trope where you got the one singer and then suddenly the two guys rise up behind him and echo him.
Yeah.
I think that could be, something like that could be fun with this track.
Amazing. Next up, we got Foskia. Did they have any specific feedback requests?
No, just feedback with advices.
Okay,
which
advices.
we do try to always give advice, I guess.
Sorry, I don't have. Why is? Oh, because I don't have an ad block in Safari, so we're gonna have to go through the ads. There we go.
Oh.
It's funny. People are asking in the chat, like, how do you make this so warm? And the answer is real instruments. You know, let's face it.
Pretty much.
Like, this is the thing, right? All of you, I'm not going to, like, make this a discussion because I'm so bored of hearing about it on people's timelines. But obviously, we all know that, like, there's this huge hot take thing going on about AI right now. And it's like, there is no substitute for a human in certain cases, and like this is one of them, like a warm, rich, actual instrument tone. Like you can slap a sample in, you can slap layers of plugins. I'm just too animated today. I'm going crazy. Somebody let me out of here. And you know, you cannot substitute for a human being. And you know, Faskia was saying that there's no loops. It's all played in live, and that alone, even if the person is playing the same part over and over again, they're playing it slightly different every time, and that's enough to keep the human ear interested. So yeah, I agree with everyone in the chat. I loved the warmth of that, the floatiness, the choruses, like, you know, Dan Mack saying reminds me of listening to something on tape. Everybody kind of loving this vibe and this real instruments thing. So, you know, I suggest for those people who don't play instruments, make a friend that does. We all know that friend that just like plays guitar and does not shut up. At least, you know, sadly, maybe we don't. Maybe this is like an old person thing and people don't do that anymore. But up until and slightly following, you know, my generation, it was like a thing. There's always like one friend that's just constantly playing guitar. So take that friend and record them and even make your own sample library out of them so that you have something unique. And if you start from a well-recorded real source, it's like cheating, right? You don't need to slap half as many plugins because you have reality. So well done. Really, really nice vibe. And Natty, I know you're into this sound as well. So what's your take?
I think on the whole, the vibe is solid. I think that I slightly disagree with Dan Mack saying that the bounce is nailed, but because I think your kick is slightly too loud. And it makes my headphones go weird when the kick is too loud. Mm-hmm. Like, it's almost like they're trying to rattle out of my skull, like, off my skull. It's like, which is, so, and that was definitely the case with this. So turn your kick down about maybe 1 or 2 decibels, just a smidge to balance that out. The other thing, it'd been nice to just have a section with that warm, lush guitar. It's like a chorusy thing going on it. Like just that sort of bleeding out by itself because it's a lovely sound. But by the time you sort of really get into it, everything else is kind of taking over the conversation.
Mm-hmm. I would have liked to hear some like foley and stuff in the intro because I think even though you aren't looping it, you are playing a simple guitar part for a while, and like in the second half when you start to do like a little bit more like octaves, like higher parts and stuff, and it becomes more dynamic again, I think it's good. But in the intro, because you're just kind of playing like, you know, so these simple note patterns over again, it would be cool. Like it is very cool, but just to have like a texture, like to tell a little bit more of a like a build of a story, and then when it kicks in with all your parts, the listener is already going to be like, you know, floating in an exact certain place. So I think that just really subtle stuff like that is enough. I'm not saying you need to make like new parts per se. I don't know. What do you think?
I mean, I think that there is a part at least you could make that might work.
Yeah.
And that is record a take of you on your guitar with an external microphone, not like using the built-in pickups or whatever. Don't play loud, just focus on creating the finger noises of your guitar. Mm-hmm. So the moving up and down the strings, capture those sounds, and as long as you try, you know, playing quiet and focusing on that, you could create this nice texture that still ties in with everything else, and then you know, you can affect that to whatever you want to bleed it out or make it crunchy or whatever you want afterwards. But that provide your foley that's the same thing as what you're trying to do with your guitar already, but it's just playing with specific focus on the thing. So don't try and make it like actually noisy, like, you know, don't make the notes ring out or anything. Just focus on trying to record the sound of your contact, your fingers, like you're pretending to play effectively.
Mm-hmm.
It could be a really cool way of just tying everything together without completely deviating from an entirely new sound in your palette kind of thing.
Yeah, totally. Good ideas. Do we have any more originals. We got time for maybe one or possibly two more today.
All right. Cardona finally sent theirs, so I can actually send it over to you. I was poking him to try and get that. There we go.
All right. What's up with Cardona
Looking for
today?
feedback. Sorry. Looking for feedback on arrangement and melody choice. Not sold on the melody. I've tried many different ones. Or the arrangement, but I think it's cool and interesting. Wondering what y'all think overall.
All right.
It started alright. All I saw was a smile. You turned me up like a flame of desire. You couldn't hide in disguise for a while, out of sight. But you know the type, not a man, but a liar. Now I don't need your rear view mirror. Can't believe it went so long. And now you're begging, so pathetic. Yeah, your words are in there now. The other ear. So tell it to the judge, my darling. Holding up no evidence. Even if you got no case for me, just play it out because I wanted it. Because I wanted it. Ooh. Oh, because I wanted it. So much for your love, promises and devotion. Another life for me is in motion. You ain't gonna stop me from moving on. Attitude in the right place. Rolling waves in the ocean. Now I don't need your rear view mirror. Can't believe it went so long. And now you're begging, so pathetic. Yeah, your words are in there now. The other ear. So tell it to the judge, my darling. Holding up no evidence. Even if you got no case for me, just play it out because I wanted it. Because I wanted it. Ooh. Because I wanted it.
Okay. Wow. So Christmas Story. I guess this is like divorce court. Tell it to the judge.
Which is, I guess
They're getting
fitting. Apparently, a lot of people get
Yeah,
divorced at this
parents
time
are
of
getting
year.
divorced right before Christmas. The kids are heartbroken. It's like the beginning of the movie, and they're like, "Oh, Christmas is ruined." Yeah, no, the chat as always is crushing it. I agree with Stasis quite a lot, saying the vocals melody is really strong, but the drop and build melody lacks rhythm and melody strength. It should complement the strong melody of the vocals, and I can kind of zone in on that a bit more. So one of the things I talk about is that what makes a professional sounding vocal as opposed to an amateur, is really these micro perfection edits, and one of them is timing. And so I think that one of the things that really takes away, there's two things about the drop. One, you have a lot of cool ideas and elements. Like, I love the kind of like dance hall build. I love the strings. I love the vocal ad libs that are being done, but they're drawn out a bit too long. Like, I think that you could take all those ideas and kind of like chop them. Sometimes what I'll do is just like chop half of each idea and see how much I can shrink it before it loses something. Because I think that some of those ideas, if you did them like much faster almost, would just be like really dope and really tight. But they just take too long, and the timing of some of those ad libs, those O's, are a little bit off, and whereas the main parts are dead on. So it's actually even more striking when you go into these bridges and builds and those O's are sort of like a little bit loose. What do I mean by it taking too long? Like, all of these ideas that you have when it kicks in, like here, all of this, here. Like all this section to here, I think sometimes could just happen faster. Like, all of your melodic figures could take a little bit less time, and it's hard because we fall in love with these things. But I just think that it would tighten up the impact of the song in this case, to tighten the arrangement around that, because it just like every part that's outside of the verses just seems to sort of take turns happening, but happen too long by itself. So you could almost like have these parts fade in together. So like, obviously it's not my track, so I can't be exact about it, but like, let's say I had a 16 bar hi-hat pattern. I would try making that pattern happen and complete in 8 bars. So this is like the same thing I'm saying to some of your ideas, is just try condensing them a little tighter, because the verse parts are so strong and so tight, and then the drop is almost like a loose jam of like, oh, I'm trying out this idea, I'm trying that. Stasis is recommending pick a reference track with a strong drop and then find your own pace and melody. And I think that, that could help too. If you line yourself up and go, okay, mine is taking a lot longer to get to this part. And definitely, as Rocket says, the low end needs to be mixed a little bit. Obviously, you're not really in that mixed down stage, so I'm just targeting this. My last thing before I pass it on to Natty is that I think that you need to do more for the tell it to the judge part, which is sort of like the pre-hook, because the processing and the delivery and the layering are exactly the same as the verse. So you're missing a chance to take somebody into another layer of intensity. Like, you could double the vocal. If you have the original vocalist, you can get actual doubles and actual multiple takes. That would be great. If not, try using some really good plugins. Vocal Doubler by Isotope is a really good one, and it's free. So Natty, I'm going to turn it over to you.
I'm going to leverage some pop songwriting practice that I do occasionally. There are a couple of things I've noticed with mainstream pop songs that they do, especially nowadays, where it's all about appealing to TikTok and everyone's short attention spans. They kind of choose between which verse gets the most emphasis. Like, you get your first verse and your second verse right, but usually in modern pop songs, they're not the same length. They'll often truncate one or the other one. If you want to grab people's attention for a drop faster, then you're going to have to actually truncate the first verse and sort of skip ahead a little bit. Get that, really quick build up, really quick, just straight into the drop from there. And then you can take your time for the second verse, because you've won your audience's trust. Mm-hmm. You've told them there's something worth waiting for. And obviously, as well as EDM, it's always advisable to have some variety with your second drop that keeps things fresh anyway. But now you've proven that you can pull it off with the first drop. Mm-hmm. And that's a really, really big deal, because they're not going to switch off now. They love the song already. The other way would be keeping your first verse the way it is, but then drawing out, rather than having a draw out build up on your first drop, let the build up be slower on your second. So you take that long build up that you've got for your first drop, just move it later. Mm-hmm. Have the first one be, change the emphasis again. You don't, that's without rewriting the verses, because again, it's just about getting to the hype bit first. And, it's winning your audience's trust, I think, is the biggest deal with pop music, because they're going to choose to listen to you, or they're going to go listen to Taylor Swift. That's who you're up against when it comes to pop music, and it's not a fair competition at all, you know. But that you can kind of consciously lean into it, you know, and say, okay, why are everyone else doing things the way they are doing it? And it is about massaging that mixture of expectation, familiar and unfamiliar aspects, and just giving them a little bit of that dopamine rush as soon as possible to keep them listening to the track.
Good ideas as always, Nathaniel. Well, it's been wonderful. We have to keep it short and sweet today. I've got a million things to do. I'm trying to move between two dens, Denver and Denmark. They're kind of far apart. It takes a lot of logistics, so I am just got to get back into that. And we may have another one on the 28th. We're going to leave that up to our community, specifically in the Discord side. If you're really dying, if you're like, I'm going to be home and I'm going to be so bored and I really want y'all to have a stream and let's hang out for Christmas and, you know, check out some tunes, you know, be active in the chat. And if enough people feel like it, we will do another one on the 28th. Otherwise, we will return in the new year with some also new content. And we're going to have all of our old best clips put up on our YouTube channel. So if you haven't already subscribed, at illbc_TV on YouTube. Is there going to be a New Year's challenge? I mean, I'd be down to like do some kind of like production challenge or sample or like community event where we're just kind of like hanging out in our PJs. We could have like a pajama party production. I'd be super down. I am going to have to pack up the studio, so it'll be interesting. It may be like me in an empty house or me in someone else's house, who knows, but I would be down for that. Like it just, you know, if people are around, I'm down. I think Natty is around, but yeah, just hang out with us.
I'm not going anywhere.
Hang out with us in EDMP Discord. If you're not in the Discord, what are you doing with your life? Discord.gg/EDMP. We hope to see you in there. You can always reach us for friendly feedback, life lessons, self-care questions, flexing and redirections. And Natty definitely will not be freestyling for the insurrection.
No, I'm very sorry.
Sorry, I have rap Tourette's. I don't know what's going on, but thank you, Natty. Do you have any last words for our lovely friends?
We love you all. We hope you sleep well and eat well and have a wonderful Christmas celebration or Hanukkah or whatever it is you have to be doing with your family at this time of year.
Chag Sameach to all my people, and good